that says DIB is key to the economy. This isn't a full turn or an impact that you can access.
The app reads that the DIB is key to it. Like we access the app cards in this turn.
Second, right? What did you take? Okay, I'll send it out. That was about 7 seconds. The orders, allies and stocks. Allies and stocks, then, case.
What's the order, please?
What's the order?
It's the sustainable, or the corruption advantage. Yeah, corruption.
Corruption?
Yeah.
Okay. I haven't gotten it yet.
Is anyone not ready? Awesome. On allies will concede the thumper. On stocks, economic decline goes nuclear, sparse diversionary wars, interdependence breakdown, the best deterrence and guarantees escalation. That's autonomous and econ decline, depths, the environment, emissions, restrictions, and clean, the tech investment, equity, and 16 recessions are bad for the environment because that jobs and financial volatility typically take precedence on the global political agenda over environmental regulations and climate policy expectations of trade, financing, faltering credit, the spreads narrowing, emerging markets, assets under a serious stress and worsens the expectations, earnings in season, all points to less money for adaptation and further slowdown for renewables investment levels, and the collapse makes all environmental conditions worse. Power and 10 modest benefits of two environments from economic slowdown are much smaller. The conservational measures that are trying to make investment in conservation are less attractive financially. The crisis is delayed efficient technology slowdown or alter land use patterns by increasing the pressure to clear forest. Delay in construction of treatment is expected to harden the environment. And economic collapse turns disease spread. Whittington and 16 economic turmoil short of conflict and promote spread of disease. We are not seeing that in the middle income countries. Economic mismanagement led to reemergence of tropical diseases. There is little hope that litany of tropical diseases will be contained. The line by line. First, the Disattaways case because of. One, we have an internal link to their second advantage. I did for the first advantage above. Give me leeway on the analytic. It was really unclear in the 2AC. The thumper, they cite Turkey. The Turkey reduction wasn't the same thing because Turkey had humanitarian rights concerns and started buying from Russia, and that was publicized in the United States. They say no link. The Senate card one. That card is from 2011. It doesn't assume Trump, and it doesn't assume the divided House, and it also this thing that was published was never spoken about within the context of CNN. Make them read evidence that CNN isn't going to publicize that arms are reduced. And this second card, they say Tego is bad. First, that recutting doesn't really mean anything. It just says that if the government announces a big change, it increases stocks. It doesn't. The recutting doesn't talk about how. The recutting doesn't talk about specifically the reduction of arms sales, which our Tego interpretation does. But even so, the plan wrecks market confidence and investors lead a restrictive government, which plunges the industry. That's Tego, and here's more. First is empirics. Tego, 12 empirical evidence supported the argument which connected political decision-making to the economy of arms export restrictions on the stock market. Markets are influenced by political announcements which affect the ordering of book industry. Surprising news was met by negative market reaction and dependence. The Webster and 18. American defense industry is the second largest exporter of defense company. Secure revenue through international arms sales. Headwinds are gathering in the face of budget, the U.S. is focused on international sales to include reduced need for domestic intervention. The sector is primed for growth. Export policies may be undermined. Companies, industries, or publicly held companies accountable to investors. They must be profitable pairs. And share prices, Pat Thompson, and the 12, the defense industry is in the downturn in the domestic demand increase. Foreign sales have been spectacular ever. The one of the biggest defense companies have seen its shares price rise over the 100% in investor-friendly moves that enable the defense industry to weather the downturn in shareholder returns. Any indication of success, and I'll go to the surprise contract cancellations, collapse, industry certainty, Rex profits. Make them read a card that says that the government is going to release a statement, and not CNN. Valone and 15 challenges for industry planning contracts to move forward. Planning cancellations live in limbo, cost driven up firms that are contribute to larger platform providers as delays deprive them of revenue. Recurring failures impose real costs per unit cost, increase in uncertainty, make response difficult to implement. Potential damage from all this uncertainty to smaller firms still lost the revenue. The data shows disproportionate share budget reductions has been borne by contracts and by the DIB, and because it came up in cross-ex, affirmative contradictions are good. They're key to negative flexibility in testing the app from multiple angles, and our evidence specifically is conditional. We'll go for DIB good or bad in the 2&R. Do you have the stuff? Yeah.
Do you know where you marked?
Then I'll just read it here
Okay.
on mine. Okay, back to case. I'll finish the card that on you said on disasters.
Yeah.
Farquhar.
Okay, no,
Finish Farquhar.
Yeah.
The world will take action once it begins to impose costs. The international community will face a strong incentive to find ways to reduce temperatures. Do you want me to finish?
Raven Prince.
Which one?
The one before.
Okay, and I'll finish the one before. Total biodiversity decline, but local biodiversity staying the same because species from elsewhere replace local losses. Biodiversity would have, but the locally species staying stable would be the mecca for end of civilization, as it is Hollywood as nations increase wealthy to clean up pollution as economies become circular waste products decline. The consequences are immediate that governments act before catastrophe. Anything else?
Where was that come?
I'm done. But on the corruption advantage in the 1 and C, I just finished the 2 cards that I marked. The second 2 cards that I marked.
8 minutes. information. I'm sending out. It is a different order. Okay. Corruption, sustainability, stocks this out. Okay. I'm doing framework at the top. So, sorry, that's
Wait, framework on.
framework's at the top of the K and then overview and K proper.
Okay,
This is really
perfect.
tall. I'm not tall enough. Oh wait, I did. I just forgot about that one. Okay. I still forgot. Wait. Just feels very awesome. Good. They say also are key to the DIB. First, republishing solves that they conceded that we will publish all of the sales of the app, and we think that's the most logical outcome, which means that there's no reduction in arms, so they don't get access to an impact. Second, it doesn't take that opaque officers. This card doesn't take that opaque officers are going to opaque officers are about to do that on the internal link debate. They say this science evidence. This just disproves the K. It means that they read an existential impact card, which proves that we can sever our reps and there's no subjectivity attachment that we create. There is an impact to environment. Our current and federal evidence indicate that they create cascade failures and runaway collapse that escalates to warming because there's the invisible threshold. They say no to disimpact. Yes, there is a current and federal evidence indicates that it's increasing volatility right now to mutate pathogen. So they can see the disaster impact. It goes existential in outweighs. They say go to sustainability. DIB collapse DIB collapse is only inevitable as a result of offsets, not the good stuff in their cards. There's a few internal links that less than on the DIB decided will answer the war in the dollar. Evidence is about offshoring, which officers cause that hurts that aid. The offset agreements become difficult to show for a faster foreign competition leader development company. However, over 2/3 of the loss were reported by the suppliers relationship with overseas countries and subcontractors to be sound. Offset requirements reduce future business with consequences for the industries. They consider the semiconductors impact, deterrence impact, and the atoms impact, which is about readiness. But also they consider that you were able to solve for nuclear escalation as a result of the economy, which is the radiation hardening stuff, which is the Schneider evidence sucks. They conceded that there's no impact to the economy. We said that 08 disproves economic collapse, which was the last more analytic we made, and they dropped it. Don't get the other new answers. They also dropped that their defense offices aren't key to any stock markets because there are 4 other bigger sectors like healthcare, which are much more overwhelming impact on the defense space. There's no turns case because there's no impact, but they can't turn the warming anyways because a recession is definitely bad for the environment. A recession is definitely good for. A recession is good for the environment. It means that we can't invest in mining or coal initiatives. They say they conceded all the numbers, which terminally disprove the dissent. First, the DIB decline is inevitable right now, which means arms sales will inevitably come to an end, causing the stock collapse. But the plan is key to solve it. That's because we solve our 2 internal links. First is that financial penalties. The DHOF evidence indicates that the DIB incurs penalties when they improperly fulfill deals because opaque offsets are too confusing for them. That means they're financially penalized, which saps revenue. Second is the cheater evidence about balance sheet liabilities. Those reputational balance sheet liabilities increase cascading failures and interconnectedness means that it spirals throughout the entirety of the DAB. They also dropped the Pakistan thumbs, which proves that there was already reductions to arms sales that should have caused it. They dropped that republishing solves any of the residual links, but there's no link to any of the stock stuff because they dropped the warrants and the tag evidence. It's either about arms sales, but only about Japan arms sales, not us. But official statements like the plan, which we agreed like the plans are expected and don't cause problems with the media. They said problems with the media. They said that their condo at the bottom of this flow, which means they dropped that condo is bad. They dropped this condo is bad. Condo, it can challenge it, but in the second the status of the product counter, which they don't get to determine the TC also for determines each round matters, so makes the team less likely to go first line of BC. Pistol strategic thinking just makes the be capable of defending every argument in the one he forces them to think about the interactions across the flows and encourages the acting strategic decisions about what the first is not. It also encourages better research. 19 sets of defend their counterplays from every angle possible, which encourages depth over 25 lane counterplays. It makes better arguments development. Don't give them any new arguments. They made the choice to not answer Kondo and say that they were Kondo. Okay, starting with here. The team of terminates the implications of planar networks and stats going present all the cells, everything only answering our actual impacts, not simply critiquing one of infinite, unpredictable epistemological states that ensures meaningful cost and educational engagement, but meaningful educational engagement. Scholarship first, we've defended our scholarship on the line by line, which just proves that we keep bad subjectivity or bad education, but this is also unpredictable and links to all of their offense. They say subjectivity. Subjectivities are formed over the entire debate, not a single debate, and debate is a drop in the bucket compared to school and family relationships, etc. Switching sides is a better internal link to it. They say serial policy theory. Plans pragmatism is key there. Interpretation avoids the complexity of politics and dicks effective engagement with the state and the case with basic networks predictions and leads to infinite determinative policy action. Also, our representations are good. That's the holding card, which we can extend because they only made this a actually, I'll skip it. Fairness goes fairness goes after. They can read anything that they want, which is that. Okay. They say extinctions inevitable. It's definitely not. There was no contextualized analysis for why our impacts and errors are inevitable, but we do solve all our impacts. They conceded that we're able to solve for all of our internal needs and that our impacts were real. And that our impacts are real. But answers to your policy failure. But they say, okay, we can keep our representations. They read the DIB good to stat, which proves that they link to all of their offense about securitizing the DB just as much as we do. But it also proves that we can kick our reps because if they're claiming existential impacts, it means that we don't form any attachments, which means that there's no terminal impact to it. It also means that states can't co-opt it. States can't co-opt it. There are two, the Eklund and the Adams entity. We're just about discourse, which we can sever as they did in the disease impact, the disease link. Yes, there is a disease impact. I extended out on the other floor. They also dropped the semiconductors, environmental and disaster impact, which both are existential, and they dropped the out fails, which is.
Much do we have? 240.
230.
238. Okay.
case is just corruption and sustainability.
For that, do you need a type that?
I'll take it. Wait, there you guys. Okay, cool. Anyone not good?
Securitization is the root cause of all forms of conflict. U.S.'s foreign policies in the name of security. The Afghans yet another example of action that the U.S. takes as a precaution to reduce risk of death. The aim of structural security only makes these conflicts inevitable. As the one advances the rules logic by preemptively ensuring that disease, environment, and disasters won't be driven, cause extinction, endless intervention, and threat construction all made possible through this conflict. Securitization is the root cause of all conflict. The Afghan demonstrates a high level of securitization with their depiction of environment as a threat and also to prevent disease. Framework. The act must defend the political implication of the plan as well as the epistemological methodological boundaries of the one. They can't sever their reps, they have to weigh their advantage against the alternative. They can justify the theoretical assumption behind it. That's best for debate. Any ground on which affirmative state must defend the entirety of the one, not just select parts. Negative grounds is the only way to prove that the act is not desirable. B, predictability. If we specific links to the act is predictable. C, education. The reason the act is read is because of it. It has the advantage of the problem itself. Critiques allows us to debate the larger story of the one is telling not just the action. If we win the act as dangerous assumption, we should win the debate because that proves that the act is bad in scholarship production.
This is just on condo.
Oh, condo. We didn't say we were conditional. We said conditionality. We said the conditionality of evidence is key to net flex or advocacy are dispositional, so we meet their interpretation. Even so, dispositionality can still be conditional. Take the word for its general.
Our evidence is conditional.
Our evidence is
But our
conditional, but our
advocacies
advocacies
Are still dispo. The perf one?
Perfcon begs the question of link the case, a prior question or case arguments, and this as don't operate in the same space as a framework debate about the epistemological choice of the one. You see, those choices are proven to be given our counterplan. This has shown will prove that under their framework their policy is a bad one. Arguments are in line with the criticism that met on evidence on case on the critique proves that double blind the one you can't get out of either things like disease or real and the U.S. which will or with the U.S., which will inevitably lead us to extinction, which will inevitably lead us to extinction, which is rhetoric isn't a thing, and it merely concedes the control of a military-industrial complex. This isn't a standard security. Again, the question is that we read this as with extinction impacts, but the manner is a fundamentally deeper question of the purpose of the name of the threats. That was the overview.
I'll talk about the case stuff.
Extend that there's no disease impact. Our health and piece of evidence that prove that pathogens can evolve past lethality. The extinction from disease can't happen because the longer disease run rampant, the more immunity people get. The disease also burn out before they can ill off a species. Only one case of extinction from disease ever for any species, which was a rat species. That's our house piece of evidence. The environment impact. Biodiversity declines met with increased biodiversity from other species. Concede the warrant that evolution solves and governments would act before collapse hammer. That's our Kariva and Carranza 18 piece evidence. They also concede that Farquhar piece evidence that levels of warming necessary to kill off humans couldn't happen. Also answers disasters that people and the government will solve them and adaptability solves. They say healthcare and they say healthcare. There's more of that healthcare is more of an impact to the defense industrial base than that Pakistan dumps. First, Pakistan dumps wasn't through offsets, and the act doesn't do anything to save a weak DIB. We didn't concede the DIB extended to and see petty percent that offsets are key to the defense industrial base. The DIB collapse is only inevitable from decreasing offsets. The impact debate. The extinction is inevitable. We control the uniqueness too. One is the impact claims. The one is the evidence says that it creates infinite dangers, which justifies the state constantly creating and maintaining dangers. This constant co-creation means that variations of the one impact can't be solved by the app because they fail to realize the interconnectedness of danger created by policies like the one
The DIB stuff. But how DIB collapses
Oh, okay. The DIB stuff.
Extender Sena et al. 17 piece evidence that proves econ decline causes global nuclear conflict. The best research proves that U.S.'s growth is key to sustain peace. If DIB collapse only happens from an offset decrease, as shown by Petty study. The Sena piece of evidence cites multiple studies that prove that data on conflict trends that show that prevalence of conflict only happens when economic growth is affected in the DI with the DIB. Sharp declines in the rate of growth increase likelihood of conflict because economic interdependence reduce likelihood of economic integration.
This works with our theory of
It
critique.
works with the theory of the critique
Because
because
it proves that their theorizations are
because it proves that their theorizations are incorrect.
5:14.
the sustainability advantage, the corruption advantage, the DIB just said, the rest of the K.
It's an easy outvalid and conceded conditionality which made it impossible for us to engage in the round because Kondo let them contradict themselves so many times that we literally couldn't engage without debating ourselves. There's a few examples of it around abuse that I'll isolate right now. One is the economy impact. Evidence that they read in the 1C explicitly indicates that economy impacts cause the securitization dilemmas that they've indicated are bad, but they went on to read the economy impact in like 3 different places on the DIB advantage as well as on the case turn. Second is the DIB good. Like they read the link when they re-highlighted our Adams card. Second, but then they read the disad that says that the DIB good is good. Third is the environment link. They said that environmental representations are bad. Then they read Turns case arguments about how environmental collapse is bad. That you can sign your ballot right now. The rest of the 2AR, I'm going to do it because it's fun, but conditionality is totally bad because it encourages teams to proliferate a terrible undeveloped off case with no risk, which is exactly what happened in this round because we couldn't straight turn anything. We couldn't straight turn their off case. Only dispositionality has consequences requiring a straight turn advocacy to be defended through the 2NR. That resolves our impact, which is strategic thinking. A is for the negative because it forces them to consider the impacts to reading all of their arguments through the 2NR. Second is for the affirmative because it forces the 2AC to make strategic decisions about which pages they're able to they straight turn. They say that their Condo, but advocacies are dispositionality. I have no idea what this means. At best, it means we can sever our representations. At worst, it means that their evidence as well as their advocacies were still conditional because they were willing and able to kick all of them. The sustainability advantage. It's also a pretty easy outcome when they conceded multiple impacts, all of which mean that a rhetoric is good, which also impact turns the rest of the critique. The DIB is going to decline right now because of opaque offsets. There's 2 internal links which they conceded. First is legal and reputational risks. They have evidence indicates that it causes penalties on congressional investments causing damage, and contracts is blacklisting and investigations like this balance sheet liabilities which cause cascading costs and vulnerabilities, demolishing the entirety of the DIB. That's our Tudor evidence. That's our Tudor evidence. It causes deterrence to collapse. That's our Watson Bluestein evidence causing nuclear reactions, which mean that it does go existential. That's something that they conceded. The only offense that they could possibly gain over here is this weird impact turn. They conceded 3 key answers. First is they conceded 08 thumps on the DIB good. This that obviously thumps all of the rest of their stuff. Second, they conceded that republishing solves, which means that offsets continue after the plan. They don't have a reason that opaque offsets are key to the DIB nor to the broader economy. It means none of it actually matters for the rest of their impact. Legal corruption advantage will concede there's no impact to any of our stuff. They didn't extend the disease or environment representational links into the 2NR, which means it doesn't matter regardless. We'll win that we get to several representations framework. You should weigh the plan's impacts versus the impacts to the critique, not our discourse. This is unpredictable because it causes a run to the margins where we have to defend the infinite epistemological stances that are taken at our 1AC. They conceded that this makes it impossible for the affirmative to engage in and causes a run to the margins. That means that evaluating our discourse at all is still net negative, but we can sever our representations, which means there is no impact to this. We usually can be leeway on the rest of this debate because I was pretty confused about what was going on. First, we can sever our representations because they conceded conditionality. Second is that the extent of the economy acted into the same speech that their own evidence says that the economy impacted when their own evidence says that the economy impact is bad. They didn't extend perfcon good into the 2NR. They said the rhetoric is a question of the affirmative. They read all of the same impacts that they've indicated are bad. The K overview, I guess proper. Extinction is not inevitable. The plan stops different pathways to it. They have no explanation for how extinction happens as a result of securitization, where it happens, or when it does, which means that all of the securitization that they've done as well should cause all of their links. Their only answer was that we produce our own impacts. That's obviously not true in the universe in which they've extended all of it. They've conceded our internal links and the fact that we are able to solve.
Even if extinction is inevitable, stopping them once from the plan is good
because extinction is bad.
Then it gets worse than that.
They did not really extend the DIB thing, but regardless, they, like the stocks just said, but they still conceded 08 thumbs. I'll end it.
Thank you.
Good bait. Good bait.
I put an app on Condo. Don't drop